Greetings. Year 9, the internet seems suspiciously slow. It's a Saturday evening, and I imagine half the town is on Netflix. But I'll see how the quality is. I hope it's apologies if for any inconvenience. Last time you learned this word repression, which means limiting or restricting actions or thoughts. But what's an example in your dystopian stories that you've learned of that demonstrate repression? One example of repression that I've read about in the dystopian texts is, let's think about Winston, and let's also think about Offred, the woman from A Handmaid's Tale. What's a republic? A state in which supreme power is held by an elected person rather than a monarch. So there's no king. So sometimes republics are countries in which the kings have been overthrown and a president takes place. Well, in America, there's a president, and I believe the King of England used to be America's king, but they threw us out. They had a civil war, and America installed a person rather than a king. So, and can you list any past or current republics? I gave you a bit of strong clues now. And how is the fact that the totalitarian government in The Handmaid's Tale calls themselves a republic ironic? So, yeah, Gilead, is it Gilead? Gilead calls it Life's Jolly Hard in Gilead. They call themselves a republic. But why is that ironic? Think about what the intention of a republic is and what the effect is. Basically replacing one king with another, I think. We're going to talk briefly about how to answer a GCSE style language reading question, although we aren't actually going to do it because unless you're writing assessments, we're just going to ask you to make lists of things. But we're going to talk about an article on abortion today, and I'll quickly show you what you're going to do. There are two tasks. One, read lines 1 to 10. You should have this extract. If not, it'll be on the screen. List 5 things you learned about abortion in America. So just a list of 5 facts, 5 things you've learned. And number 2, read from lines 37 to the end of the article and tell us, how does the writer present arguments against the abortion ban? So what powerful quotations does the writer use to convince us that there's a strong body of feeling against this ban of abortions? So the background is America is, in this article, banning abortion. So you aren't allowed to, terminate your pregnancy, I suppose. And there's a lot of voice against that ban. So the voices are saying the ban is inhumane, and we'd like you to find 5 powerful words against the ban. So a little background on American politics, this big thing of American politics. You're going to be talking about Republicans and Democrats, or reading about them anyway. And I just thought, because Republicans isn't exactly the same definition as republic, I thought I'd show you the difference. So we know America is a republic. They have a president. But confusingly, they have 2 political parties. One's called the Democratic Party and the other's called the Republican Party. So the Republicans don't just want no king in the country. The Democrats want the same sort of thing, really. They're all happy with how America runs. But this goes back to slavery. So in the 1800s, slavery was taking place in this area here in America. This is where all the gardens are. It's quite warm, and slaves would grow or pick tobacco, cotton, rice, and something called indigo, this expensive dye. And there's so they're making quite a lot of money from it, and so a lot of businesses were trying to expand slavery further to the left. Can you see that big bit of America to the left? The businesses owned by Democrats. It's the Democratic Party. They wanted to see business expand. Now, the Democrats, people like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, they favored the idea, they liked the idea that America should all be governed from this wealthy corner over here. But in come the Republicans. Where are they? Here are the Republicans to say, no, we don't want slavery to expand. They're basically a rival political party that wanted to limit the Democrats' money by stopping slavery. They said, let's let the rest of America govern itself. Less tax, less regulation. Let's have a small government and let the states just look after themselves. We don't want slavery to expand. We don't want the Democrats to run the country from their little powerful power base. That's more liberal. Republicans are known as the General Old Party. There it is. So that's the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. Crucially, the Republicans are socially conservative, and they are the people in this article asking for suggesting abortion should be banned. So you know that English literature involves writing about plays and Shakespeare and Victorian stories, poems. I haven't said it already. English language is slightly different. You have to read non-fiction texts, which is English language involves writing your own fiction and non-fiction. That's fun. So you get to write your own journalism and your own stories. But this is the part we're doing today, writing analytically about fiction and non-fiction. Non-fiction is like travel writing, journalism. In this case, a news report. Yes. So should we just read lines 1 to 10 and list 5 things we learned about abortion in America? Let's do that. Let's leave the PowerPoint and just read through the text together. Now, try and share my screen. Anti-abortion article, here we are. I've underlined a few words that we'll be a bit confused by. So in fact, sorry, I'm going back into PowerPoint. I forgot to do this. Right. Okay. I thought I'd take you through these words because they can be a bit confusing if you don't. So we already know that the Democrats and the Republicans are actually US political parties. They're referred to in the text. Politicians from those parties get together in what's called the state Senate. So each state has a Senate, and there's a governor is the person in charge. I suppose it's the equivalent of an English duke. He's in charge of an area of America. Gestation means time spent in the womb, gestation of a fetus. Conservative people are usually known as right-wing because they like old-fashioned values, traditional values. Hillary Clinton, successful politicians, if you amend something, you change it. A vasectomy is where, well, men sort of just limit their capacity to have children, to be fertile. And the chamber is another place where politicians get together and vote. And if you have talking about the exception to the rule, it means something that doesn't follow a trend. So let's go back to the article now. Anti-abortion article, here we are. How are we doing? 10 minutes, okay. So Alabama, abortion ban. Republican state Senate passes the most restrictive law in the US. You know what a state Senate is, basically the senators in that state of Alabama. Alabama. have restricted abortion. They said the law bans abortion except if there is a serious risk to the mother, with no exceptions to rape and incest. Exceptions, exceptions to the rule. So, controversial case, only if a woman is ill, at the risk of dying, can she abort her baby. It's controversial. Alabama's Republican-controlled state Senate has passed a near total ban on abortion, making it a crime to perform the procedure at any stage of pregnancy. The abortion ban is the strictest in the US and allows an exception only when the woman's health is at serious risk. The measure contains no exception for rape and incest. The bill now, I'm not going into incest or rape, I mean, just Google. The bill now moves to the desk of Alabama's Republican governor, Kay Ivey, who is anti-abortion and is expected to sign it. So let's give you an example of how you could answer. Question 1 says, make a list of things you learn about abortion in America. In lines 1 to 10. Let's imagine we're looking at lines 1 to 5. So we could say abortion is only allowed when the woman's health is at serious risk. So I would go back to my PowerPoint, test your patience, and test your patience again when I realize I'm in the wrong PowerPoint. And then yes, look for question 1. Here we go, live modeling. What is question 1 you're saying? Well, it was list 5 things you learn about abortion in America. It's only allowed if a woman's dying or is at risk of dying. So I would simply say it is allowed. You simply make a list. It's only allowed when the woman's health is at serious risk. That's it for the point. And you must find 4 more points. Okay, is that clear? Remember to look at lines 1 to 10. Your exam skills, you'd draw a square bracket down the side of the page to make sure you're looking at the right text, the right section of the text. So there it is. Now question 2, read lines 37 to the end of the article. How does the writer present the arguments against the abortion ban? In an exam, you'd be writing 5 PEEs, but in this case, you're only writing 5 quotations that show there's the power, the weight of argument against the abortion ban. So let's show you how I might answer this. So let's go out of Teams again and go into the anti-abortion article. So where did we reach? Civil rights groups have pledged to immediately challenge the ban in courts, which would mean abortion would remain legal in the state for now, but this sets up a fierce legal battle that anti-abortion campaigners hope will lead to the Supreme Court and eventually result in overturning Roe versus Wade. This is a court case in which a woman, I forget her name now, but she was arguing she was allowed to abort her baby because there was a risk to her health. Norma McCovey was, she argued that it was unconstitutional that she wasn't allowed to abort her baby. Norma McCovey was called Roe. She had a false name to protect her identity, I suppose. So overturning this judge's decision means that abortion will once more be illegal. Democratic leaders reacted with outrage and pledged to fight for abortion rights. Remember, Republicans, the conservative ones, and Democrats, the slightly more liberal ones. Elizabeth Warren, the Massachusetts senator, tweeted, "This ban is dangerous and exceptionally cruel, and the bill's authors want to use it to overturn Roe and Wade. I think if you're a lawyer, you say Roe and Wade in England. I've lived in that America, and let me tell you, we are not going back. Not now, not ever. We will fight this and we will win. I want to use some of that language to show the weight of the argument against the ban. So I'll leave you to read the rest of the article. Try and find the right slide again. Okay, here we are. So how does the writer present the arguments against the abortion ban? List 5 effective quotations. We've done the keywords. We've modeled question 1. Now question 2. On Tuesday, lawmakers approved the legislation after a debate that stretched for more than 4 hours. To me, this shows that there was a lot of opposition to the ban. So I would simply write here a debate stretched for more than 4 hours. Do you like the second one? Outside the Alabama State House, protesters wore costumes from The Handmaid's Tale, as if to say it's a dystopian situation. So I'm just going to write costumes, Handmaid's Tale. Dangerously close to spelling tail, like maid. I haven't done it yet, but I suspect it might happen in one of these. And I actually forgot what I was going to use just now. We will fight and we will win. We will fight and we will win. Perhaps it suggests it's like a military campaign. In an exam, you turn this into 5 PEs, but again, we're only asking you to make a list. And look, I've made a list of 3 for you, so you only really need to find 2 more. But ideally, 5 of your own. That, my friends, is the lesson. A little interlude from reading The Handmaid's Tale. Read lines 1 to 10, list 5 things you learned about abortion, and read lines 37 to the end. Make sure you focus on 37 to the end. How does the writer present the arguments against the abortion ban? See you next time.